Ignore everything you are hearing about the current Pokemon market, because no matter what, there's always certain cards which are flying under the radar, and within this video, I'll be revealing the 10 Pokemon cards which are currently hidden gems. Though before I get into this list, I'm actually super excited to be giving away this PSA 9 Umbreon EB game stamped promo. Now this is a super unique card as it has an exclusive EB game stamp on the card, which is only available in Australia and New Zealand. Now to know if you won, if you add some valuable discussion within today's video and then I reply to your comment and I add the Moonbreon emoji, then well done. This super exclusive card is being sent your way. And of course, if you are new to the channel, I just want to say hi and welcome. My name's Phil. I run this Pokemon collecting and investing YouTube channel. Honestly, feel free to subscribe to join the growing community. Though to kick off this list, in the 10th spot for one of the ultimate Pokemon purchases in this current market, we have the PSA 10 Infernape illustration rare. Now, with all the illustration rare hype, there seems to be one card that never really got its appreciation, and that's this Infernape from Twilight Masquerade. So I really thought this card was cool, and I actually did pull this card myself, and when I saw it in person, I was like, wow, this card is so unique. Though why this card doesn't really make sense at the moment is that it's from one of the most iconic generations, which is Generation 4, and it's a final stage starter Pokemon, and to me, it's wild seeing cards like Drowsy, Brute Bonnet, and Baxcalibur, getting so much pull power within the market, yet a Generation 4 final stage evolution never really made any noise within the Pokemon TCG. I personally really rate this card, and I'll eventually be looking to add this in my collection in PSA 10, and I actually didn't have the best luck when I graded it, and I did score a PSA 8. However, seeing as this Infernape is super difficult to grade, and I feel the PSA 10 may be an interesting purchase for the future. And even with Twilight Masquerade being reprinted, I don't think it's going to have much effect on the PSA 10 market. Like, there's actually some really useful information that I think every collector and investor should know. Right now, at the time of making this video, the Twilight Masquerade Infernape has had 2,868 copies sent in to get graded, and only 1,420 have returned as a PSA 10, meaning there's a 49% chance to receive a PSA 10. So given the fact of Infernape's position in the market and how recognized it is for older fans, I think the PSA 10 is an awesome card to add to your collection. Now, moving on to number 9, we have the Hydreigon Special Illustration Rare from Surging Sparks, which is arguably one of the cooler artworks. However, what's super unique about this card, it never actually made any noise within the Pokemon market, which is kind of crazy to think about that. Because I mean, Pokemon cards are in a weird position right now because we are seeing top PSA 10 chase cards slowly seeing some cracks within the market, and their super high prices are getting trimmed down. Now, honestly, this doesn't really surprise me too much because I personally feel this bull run has been way too inflated. However, this really does make you wonder if new opportunities will be entering during this period. And personally, I feel this Hydreigon is actually in a very unique position, seeing as it never had any movement. So it never really had a chance to shine in the first place. Because I mean, the Hydreigon has always been a little bit in the shadows. So I do really think it's one to look out for. I mean, interestingly, I personally also feel the PSA 10 is a great one to put on your radar. I mean, special illustration rares within the Scarlet and Violet era never have had really good PSA 10 chances, right? And this Hydreigon is no exception. Right now, it's had 3,041 copies sent in, with only 1,187 coming back as a PSA 10, meaning it's got a super low chance of 39% to be PSA 10, which is definitely something you want to consider when you're buying this card. And with PSA apparently increasing their grading standards and 10s will just be harder and harder to come by, it may be an interesting purchase for the current market. Now moving on, it is Japanese Battle Partners booster boxes. Now I'm actually a huge fan of Japanese sets. However, one issue a lot of collectors face is they only want the product when they see it's rising in value, but no one really wants the products before they start rising. It's like we're only accustomed to liking a set once the rise happens, though I kind of feel Battle Partners is actually in the perfect situation given how well priced it is in the current market. Though admittedly, I actually kind of fall into this category of not really seeing the value until it rises as well, because this just taps into my own psychology, right? Like, I mean, I really like things that are rare and I just can't help it. And honestly, this has actually been a huge problem because even if I find a card average, if I see it's rising, it's almost like I just can't help but want the card. And like, when you really think about it, that's actually a big flaw in my game because I really should know better. Though, you know, like everything in life, I'm working through this because I think it's important to love cards that are unique to you, and you also want them to rise in value. But because everything within this hobby is expensive right now. I mean, even creating video content on YouTube when starting out is expensive, though I'm pretty grateful because I actually did run my own video production company, so I did have a bit of an unfair advantage, seeing as I didn't need to go through this huge learning curve when it came to creating content, or I didn't really need to spend huge amounts of money on gear or hiring video editors. And I've always actually had a huge passion for editing videos, and it's something that I always enjoyed. Though if you are interested in entering the content game, then I'm super excited to talk about today's paid sponsor, which is Filmora. So Filmora is a very powerful and affordable video editing software that makes it easy for anyone to create high quality video content without breaking the bank. So a lot of my regular viewers on the channel would know that I have been in video production for over 10 years, and I really understand how overwhelming creating content can seem. Though when having editing tools like Filmora in your toolkit, it actually simplifies the editing process, which is by far the most complicated aspect of creating content. Filmora is the perfect entry point for creators looking to edit their own content. So not only can you use Filmora just like a standard video editor with tools such as cutting and editing a video timeline, but there's actually some awesome features, and one huge time saver is the built-in AI audio to video feature. So here you can actually upload any audio you have, and the AI will automatically detect key highlights and generate short video clips with subtitles. You can even add a custom talking avatar of yourself or anyone else by uploading an image. Plus, once it's created, you can actually refine the content as needed within Filmora's full editing suite. As your skills in editing improve, you can begin adding techniques such as motion tracking, keyframing, and AI-powered effects, along with pro-level audio editing. So this actually makes learning Filmora well worth the time investment. Honestly, thousands of creators are already using Filmora to speed up their workflow. Don't get left behind. Get Filmora and start creating videos effortlessly today. All the details can be found in the description of this video. We have the Zacian and Zamazenta V cards from Crown Zenith. How these cards are so low priced is actually wild. Like, how are the two box legendaries from Sword and Shield still so affordable? What's wild to me about these, it's not like these artworks are boring or average. Both of these artworks are absolutely stunning. The colors of these as a pair look incredible, and I honestly feel these two are the current hidden gems in the market. I mean, obviously box legendaries will always be desired, and of course Crown Zenith is getting a lot harder to find, which I will speak more on Crown Zenith's availability in this video as well, though it's really wild to see these are still so fairly priced given their popularity. Now moving on to number 6, it is Mega Evolution Full Arts. So funnily enough, I actually did make a video in April of 2024, and I spoke about Mega Evolution Full Art cards, and I was actually speaking about how they would be ones to look out for because Legend ZA was releasing. I mean, I kind of had this intuition that Pokemon Legend ZA would cause a bit of a resurgence for Mega Evolution Full Art cards. Now, when I did make this video, Mega Evolution cards went absolutely nowhere. In fact, I was actually totally wrong because Mega Evolution cards did nothing last year. Though now this is kind of changing, right? Because I probably got too excited for this too early, though Mega cards are not really the best looking cards. But even though they're not super eye-catchy, they are very iconic for Pokemon. I mean, Mega Evolutions are arguably Pokemon's most loved gimmick. They made so many Pokemon which were seemingly irrelevant become loved again. And you know, their stat boost became awesome. You could use some of your favorite Pokemon in competitive play again. I think we may see some interesting movements for them within the current market because already it's happening, though really, where is the ceiling? Now in spot number 5, it is the Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery cards. So during the whole Kamiya buyout that just happened, we saw a bunch of cards be super manipulated, such as Drowsy, Baxcalibur, and Brute Bonnet. Though also Oricorio had a similar situation, and when I looked at this card, this gorgeous card was sitting for 70 cents most of last year. And I actually feel Galarian Gallery cards from Crown Zenith are definitely cards to keep an eye out on. Now obviously with the recent reprint news, we know we're getting more Scarlet and Violet sets coming, but I'd say Crown Zenith is very likely to be at the end of its journey. So cards like the Keldeo and Lunatone all have room for growth as they are super low priced at the moment. Yes, they are super easy to pull, but with so many more people entering, they may become more scarce as time goes on. Though, you know, sometimes people actually wonder how to find out about these card price movements so quickly. And one of the best ways to stay up to date with the current market is through my channel's official Discord server. So there's actually a dedicated space on the server known as Market Movers, where users can actually showcase which which cards are climbing or even dropping in value. Feel free to join the community in the Discord. The server invite is in the description of this video. Now, sitting at number 4, we have the Arbok illustration rare from Temporal Forces. I mean, the whole illustration rare boom has just been wild. And illustration rares just all decided to spike in price super quickly with no way to slow down. Though one artwork that is super detailed and super unique is the Arbok illustration rare from Temporal Forces. Now, when we're thinking of cards that are unique and have room for growth, this one seriously ticks all the boxes. It's an amazing artwork, it's a Generation 1 Pokemon, and it's a personal favorite to a lot of people. And also, it has a personal favorite of mine because it does feature Toucannon in the artwork, and that's always a win, right? But this is an example of a card that's really flying under the radar, and seeing as it is a great artwork, there's always room for exciting movements to happen with cards like this. Now, moving on from the Arbok, Temporal Forces as a set is actually in spot number 3. So currently, out of all the booster boxes and booster packs within the Scarlet and Violet era, I think Temporal Forces is one to look out for. Because, you know, with this whole reprint news, we've heard that we're getting Paldea Evolved. We heard that we're getting Obsidian Flames. We heard that we're getting Twilight Masquerade, Surging Sparks, and even Paldean Fates is getting some reprints. However, Temporal Forces didn't really get any love. Now, truthfully, Temporal Forces has always been a little bit of a whatever set for a lot of people, right? And the special illustration rare roster is probably more of an acquired taste, as it doesn't contain people's favorite cards such as Dragonite, you know, the Evolutions, Gengar, the whole lot, right? Though the special illustration rares have a really cohesive theme, and I'd honestly say that Temporal Forces is on the same level as Chilling Reign in terms of desirability. And I feel it's going to be really loved as time goes on, though that's exactly what it needs. It just needs more time. Even though all these sets have gone up, I do think there's still room for Temporal Forces, especially if the illustration rares continue to climb. Now, at spot number 2, it is the not so desired alternate arts from the Sword and Shield era. I mean, right now, everything seems pretty wild, though the Sword and Shield era still has some alternate arts that aren't exactly that out of reach for a lot of people. I mean, these include Regidrago V, Unknown V, Skuntank V, Medicham V, and the like. Now, you may say, why would anyone want these cards? And the reason being is regular V alternate art cards are around 1 in 200 packs to pull. There's so many stories of people opening entire cases of Sword and Shield sets and not pulling any V or VMAX alt arts. So my point is, these are still pretty rare, and some of these not so desired V alts could potentially see some movement in the near future. Now, in spot number 1, the one I'm predicting to perform super well is the Salamence special illustration rare from Journey Together. Now, you may be saying it's early days and we don't really know anything about the current market, though when we take a real long-term overview on this card, this is the first time we've seen Salamence as a top chase card for a very long time. And I mean, the whole Bagon evolution line is incredibly nostalgic for collectors, and when we consider these ace Pokemon, Salamence really ticks all these categories, and it's an incredibly nostalgic Pokemon for so many collectors. And because of this is one of the few cards that we can expect some serious prices for, and given the fact that Journey Together is super challenging to find, it may provide to be a very unique opportunity. I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing Greninja kind of levels for this card, though it's anyone's real guess what can happen with the current market. Though there's more cards which can grow in value, so here's another 10 Pokemon cards to look out for. Click the video that's appearing on screen right now to look over 10 more unique Pokemon investments, and you can see how the market is constantly shifting.